1987, and that summer, Bob was the first member of Congress to endorse Mike Dukakis for president outside of Massachusetts. Dukakis came to Sacramento, and I was with Bob when he met the governor at the airport. More introductions. Governor, this is Goodwin Liu. He's going to Stanford. Goodwin, this is Mike Dukakis. He's going to be president of the United States. Okay, 1 out of 2. A couple years after I finished law school, Bob invited me to breakfast in the members' dining room at the Capitol, and there were more introductions. This time, Charlie Rangel, maybe a senator, I can't remember. Tragically, Bob died 4 years ago at 63, and I miss him. But this speech got me thinking, what was the point of all those introductions? It's not like those people remembered me. Charlie Rangel never calls. Mike Dukakis never writes. No, the point, I now realize, is that it was Bob's way of saying, Goodwin, a person like you can grow up to be a person like me. Get used to shaking hands with governors and senators and members of Congress. Get used to it because you belong with those people. They are what I think you can be. The other mentor I want to tell you about is Harold Koh, the Dean of Yale Law School. 5 years ago, Harold and our Dean, Chris Edley, became the first people of color ever to lead a top 10 law school. President Obama named Harold to be the State Department's legal advisor, and when he is confirmed, he will become the highest-ranking Asian American ever to serve in a Senate-confirmed position as a governor. I knew Harold when I was a law student, but more importantly, we stayed in touch during my journey to become a law professor. And as you may know, the academic job market is very competitive. Harold was extremely helpful in telling me the ins and outs of the process and how important it was for me to really put myself out there and sell myself. Well, this was all well and good, but I remember telling Harold during one especially long phone conversation that self-promotion was not really my strong suit because I wasn't raised that way and I wasn't used to tooting my own horn. At which point, he cut me off and said, Goodwin, I've got one piece of wisdom for you. And so I leaned into the phone, ready to catch this pearl of wisdom that he was about to share, and he said, listen closely. No humble Asian shit. This is where the obscenity and the mentoring come together. No humble Asian shit. And if you don't know what that means, ask the nearest Asian person sitting next to you. And you better do it quickly because we don't want to get fined for this fleeting expletive. So here I am today, a non-humble law professor at Bolt Hall. And that was Harold's way of telling me to believe in myself and to have confidence that people like me don't have to be just doctors or engineers. They can be lawyers and law professors too. And they can do it at the highest levels, just as Harold is doing now. So who are the Harold Kohs and Bob Matsuis of your life? Who intervened at those pivotal moments to make you who you are today? And can you, will you, be that person for someone else? Find a mentor. Be a mentor. That's the deal. My second theme is charity, and I'll tell you what I mean by that in a moment. You know, a few weeks ago, I asked some of you, the graduates, for adjectives to describe your class. Here are the G-rated ones, you said. Thoughtful, talented, hilarious, generous, tumultuous, socially conscious, politically engaged. You know, by contrast, I have never heard it said, by you or by anybody else, that Bolt students are competitive, cutthroat, uncollaborative. There are law schools like that, but Bolt is not one. And I think that says a lot about you. Not that you lack drive or ambition, but that despite your drive and ambition, you are kind to one another, you keep things in perspective, and you are, it seems, genuinely interested in building a community. I can't tell you what a difference that makes to the process of education. I'm a firm believer that much of the learning that happens in law school doesn't happen in the classroom. It happens in the hallway conversation right after class. It happens at lunchtime and during the passing periods. And it happens in your study groups and the late night cram sessions. These interactions are based on trust and generosity, and I think you will find those qualities, every bit as much as intellect or ambition, to be essential for getting things done in the world. You know, both students are unusually generous, not only to each other, but also to the faculty. Dean Edley said I won a teaching award this year, but let me tell you, it was an act of grace. You will recall that our teaching evaluations ask you to provide comments and then to rate the course on a 7-point scale, 7 the highest, 1 the lowest. Let me read you some comments about my recent con law class, with each one followed by that student's 7-point score. First, quote, "Not clear what we're supposed to take away from the course." 7. "Instructor has type A personality." 7. "Professor tended to hide the ball." 6. "No clue how to prepare for the exam." 7. That's why I love teaching at Bowling Hall. This is true. So what I mean by charity is not simply generosity or affection, but rather the third definition I found in the dictionary, and that is, quote, "a disposition to judge leniently and hopefully of the character, aims, and destinies of others, to make allowance for their apparent faults and shortcomings, large-heartedness." I hope you will keep that disposition, that large-heartedness, everywhere you go. It is one of the best things about you. Finally, a word about hope. Hope dwells in that space between reality and our ideals. Every effort to make the world better is fueled by hope. But the space between ideals and reality can be a hard place to live because the other denizen of that space is doubt. And if law school has taught you anything, it has taught you to doubt. It's a common experience in law school to feel like your idealism is slipping away. Problems are more complex than they first appear. Solutions are imperfect and uncertain. You almost get better at making arguments than believing them. I am here to tell you that it doesn't have to be that way. Just look at me. I'm almost as overeducated as you are. And still, I write articles that say every child deserves an equal, high-quality education. I'm still giving lectures that say the Constitution's promises are goals we can truly achieve. And I still believe, as I think you do, that the basic aim of law is to do justice. Is this because I am naive or uninformed, or because I like whistling into the wind? Well, maybe. But I also think there is in each of us an abiding confidence and faith in our ability to improve the human condition. Call it hope. And whatever you do, you will need that hope to live a purpose-driven life. As I look out among you today, I see lawyers, judges, policymakers. I see innovators, captains of industry, and entrepreneurs. All of you will become men and women of stature in your communities. Some of you will become leaders of this nation, or other nations, or indeed the world. That is your blessing, and it is your burden too. For the challenges we face are enormous: climate change, terrorism, poverty, economic instability, human rights, racial justice. You might get lucky. Barack Obama might solve all these problems in the next 4 or 8 years. But if he doesn't, then like it or not, they will be your life's work. You have a longer future on this planet than those of us who are a little or a lot older than you. If you don't act to end global warming, then who will? If you don't create an economy that works for everyone, then who will? If you don't end torture and find a way to fight the war on terrorism within the rule of law, then who will? I know you have engaged these issues during your brief time at Bolt. But remember this: don't let the epitaph for your generation say that your rendezvous with destiny turned out to be a one-night stand. I have no idea what that means.